Today, the strongest thing I ever did was get into cold water when I wanted to die rather than face myself. Welcome to Sacred Grit, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason.lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn willpower without regulation is just suffering. The most courageous thing I ever did was get in cold water when I wanted to die rather than face myself. And faith without works is dead. And that is not a moral instruction, it's neuroscience. This episode is brought to you by Capital City Roofing, capitalcityroofing.net. What's up, my dude? Welcome back to the Sacred Grit podcast and Gritty Wednesday. Let's get down to business. All right, so here's the deal. Willpower without regulation is just suffering, right? What I mean by that is most men think grit means like push harder, white knuckle, grind through. And I did that for years, right? Mountains, marathons, brutal workouts, CrossFit ministry. I had grit and spades, but every time life got hard, the same patterns came back because I was using brute force on a nervous system problem, right? Willpower without regulation is just suffering on a loop. Sacred Grit's different. It's not about how hard you push. It's about how honest you're willing to be with yourself. Now, let me explain it to you like this. I had created this ability to soothe myself by using women and sex. That's how I had done it. And so when I tried to white knuckle against that, it was actually a bit of violence back against myself. You see that? Because I'm just creating suffering for myself. I'm taking something from myself that is actually giving me regulation. It's actually the very thing that I'm looking for to try to soothe myself. So willpower without regulation is more suffering, right? If I have willpower and regulation, I have sacred grit and I can move toward this man that I want to be. The most courageous thing I ever did was get in the cold water when I wanted to die rather than face myself. And listen, man, this is, it's in the book, but I was laying on my left side facing the wall planning my suicide. I mean, that's not a metaphor. That is, I had a plan. And at that moment, all I could think of was leaving this earth. But the last thing I had in me, and it was a hard thing, it was to reach out. And I got a hold of a man named Rob Gent, and you've heard his name on this podcast before. I'd met Rob while I was working in a wilderness therapy program, and he had started telling me about this thing, right? About nervous system regulation. And I knew that I couldn't fight any harder. I knew that I had to do something different. So I reached out and he started telling me about cold water, nervous system regulation, and all these different things. So I left that meeting, which I had taken at a different location, and went home and filled the bathtub up with ice and just got in. And that is the moment that changed my life for everything, forever, right? I just got in the water and I stayed when everything in me screamed to get out. And now that's sacred grit, dude. That's not grit in the gym. That's the grit of a man who stays present when presence feels like it is trying to kill you. But I needed to get reconnected with myself. Okay. Now, the last thing is faith without works is dead. And I don't mean that as moral instruction, as neuroscience. I grew up hearing that verse as a guilt trip, right? Do more, be more, try harder. But now I hear it completely different. A belief about something that never reaches your body is not a belief, it's an idea. The practices close the gap between what you know and how you live. Getting up at 5:30 a.m. and stepping into cold water when you don't want to, that is faith becoming action, right? That is sacred grit. Now, here's the thing about that. When I get up and start my morning doing something hard, I am rewiring my belief about myself. I'm starting to say, no, this is who I'm going to be. No, this is the tool I'm going to use. No, I'm not going to use that thing I've used. I am going to use nervous system regulation to become the man that I want to be. And that is putting works to my faith, right? It's not feeding homeless people. It's not traveling to Africa to take care of orphans. It's not doing all these things that we, equate to morality. But all those things come as a result because you loved yourself first. You did something for yourself first. You put your faith into action. There's a line in the Bible that says we love because God first loved us. Love starts inside of yourself, and having faith that if you do the thing that makes you feel most loved by yourself, you will move toward the highest version of yourself and therefore move toward your higher power. However, you decide that expresses itself in your life. All right, my dude. So today you learn willpower without regulation is just suffering. The most courageous thing I ever did was get in cold water when I wanted to die rather than face myself. And faith without works is dead. And that's not a moral instruction, it's neuroscience. My dude, thank you for listening. Before I let you go, my book Sacred Grit is out now in paperback and on Amazon and available for Kindle pre-order. It's the whole story, the bathroom floor, the cold water, the moment everything changed. If you're a man who keeps telling himself this is the last time, I wrote this book for you. Link is in the show notes. Go and get it. All right, this episode is brought to you by David Dodd, Edward Jones McDonough. What a great dude, man. David can take care of all of your financial needs. You can find him by Googling David Dodd, Edward Jones McDonough. Look him up, get a hold of him, and tell him Jason Lyle sent you. All right, my dude. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you on Sacred Sunday.